AI is not hype anymore.
Kenyans represent about 24% of global usage on ChatGPT. What does that mean?
There's a gaming company. They have an AI CEO. That's the guy who actually runs the shop. Are we saying that we will start even seeing AI co-founders?
Prompt engineering is dead. Why am I writing something that OpenAI is writing, Anthropic is writing, Google are writing their own prompt guides?
I had one lady say that they had noticed an AI agent power grabbing. You've given it explicit instructions, do A, B, and C, but then it goes beyond the boundaries.
Some of the work we get to see is like models realizing that they are being monitored and behaving differently.
What are you telling me?
To avoid change. Why are you doing AI? Just do fintech.
Welcome to Just Money Podcast. This is a space where big ideas, smart money, and real opportunities converge. I'm Just Ivy Africa. Every week, we speak to the sharpest minds in business, investment, and innovation. If you're new here, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Kenyan Wall Street, for new episodes weekly, and find us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, at Just Money Podcast. In today's episode on money and artificial intelligence, we're joined by Tony Muiyuro, an accomplished technology and cybersecurity executive with over a decade of experience driving enterprise-wide security strategies and delivering complex digital and cyber transformation initiatives, and Michael Michie, a seasoned AI thought leader with over 12 years experience in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and data privacy. Before we continue the conversation, this episode of the Just Money Podcast is proudly brought to you by HISA app. HISA is powering borderless investing for Africa, giving you access to both local stocks like the Nairobi Securities Exchange and global giants like Apple and Tesla. The episode is also proudly brought to you by HFM, a global multi-asset broker in forex, commodities, indices, shares, and crypto, you name it, founded in 2010. Get a tradable bonus of up to $500 on your first deposit. Plus, for the first 25 days, your losses are matched with bonus funds only on HFM. Finally, thank you to Kofisi, who have provided our beautiful, beautiful set. Kofisi creates world-class spaces for ideas like this to thrive. Welcome back. It's not your ordinary podcast. It's Just Money. Today, money and AI, specifically AI hype versus AI reality. I'm starting to get pretty exhausted with all the AI conversations. And if I'm getting exhausted, it means some of you probably are as well. So what do? I bring experts to the panel. People who are speaking about AI when it was 12 years ago. These people were discussing AI. So they have roots in the industry, they have experience, and they have very strong opinions. So I can't wait to hear from them. Gentlemen, say hi.
My name is Tony Muiyuro Mwangi. I'm a technologist, a business strategist. I'm into the space of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. Glad to be here.
Good. And
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Michie. I work in technology, currently specializing in AI, gaming, and cybersecurity.
I like to start the show with asking the same question.
Sure.
We know there's a lot of information, especially around AI, especially in this age. With that misinformation, with that disinformation, with that confusion,
Yeah.
there are people who've capitalized on it. There are people who are just lost in the noise. So for anyone watching the Just Money podcast today and wants to understand artificial intelligence and the conversation we're about to have, why should they bother listening to Tony?
Okay, great. I think over the years, we've seen various evolution when you talk about technology. I remember back in the day when we were talking about AI, it was really very nascent. It was this theoretical thing that we were learning, and only the big, investment or other invested organizations could actually afford to even go into it, right? But now what we are seeing, it has been a massive explosion of capabilities, tools, and a plethora of things that actually people use on a day-to-day. So I do believe right now it's at a tipping point where AI is not just a thing anymore, but it's in our daily lives. In fact, unknown to many people, most of even the applications they're actually using are AI enabled, right? And there's a massive opportunity. I think if I would, use a parallel in terms of where we are today, I would liken it to when electricity actually became invented, right? Because it powered a lot of mechanization as well, right? And we are where we are maybe in the year 2000, where the internet was also powering online businesses. So AI has come with this massive promise in terms of what it can do, maximizing efficiency. There's a lot of monetization opportunities as well. And I feel this is a very important conversation for many people to understand so that we don't lose this opportunity. And as Africa, we can actually be net producers, not just consumers use of artificial intelligence. And that's why I feel it's important we have this discussion, but we frame it within the context of how is it relevant for us on a day-to-day? How can it help us improve our lives, make more money, have meaningful jobs? Because there's always the fear that AI is here to take away jobs. I do agree with it. Yeah.
So you're able to talk to us about this because you've done so with some organizations,
Absolutely.
yourself, and you've made money. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As an organization, actually, we deploy and implement AI tools and also cloud platforms as well as cybersecurity solutions. I've seen the massive, advantage that it's actually produced and presented many businesses. And I do feel, even at a personal level, and people who are even owning micro and small businesses, they have an equal opportunity actually to leverage the same.
Okay. Awesome. Michael,
Same question?
same question. Why?
Yeah.
Why should I bother listening to you?
I think it matters because we've had a lot of general purpose technologies, and it's nice that GPT also can stand for general purpose technology. So general purpose technologies can be used in multiple industries and have a lot of use cases, and it creates that point where if you miss out on using them, internet, electricity, or huge general purpose technologies, and that means they have a lot of potential, but also because they are quite expensive to build and maintain, also comes with its own risk. And I think it's important for people to learn so that they realize what's the difference between buying, building, or renting. Why does it matter that when we are saying Kenyans are part of the AI ecosystem, when we represent about 24% of global usage on ChatGPT, what does that mean? Should we be happy that we know how to use it, but we can't build it? Should we skill people to build it? Should we be worried about jobs? We shouldn't. Not anytime soon. And
The first debate.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also around just where it actually makes sense to deploy it. So like at my company, we spent a lot of time, spent 3 years planning for something that's just about to happen in the next few months, where we're trying to bring in not just everyone has been focused on skills, but the underlying thing that is needed is the infrastructure. This AI doesn't just float in our phones. There's somewhere where all this data and these algorithms run off of, and we've actually brought in the first set of those high-powered computers with tools called GPUs.
Wow.
Yeah, so the first in Eastern Africa.
I like that. So Michael, these GPUs you're bringing in.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Okay, so all software has to run off of some piece of hardware.
Yes.
So AI in particular, it was discovered that AI works really well, trains and performs better when you have GPUs.
Yes.
GPUs are simple terms, graphic cards for gaming that now people have been building, making them specialized for AI training and AI use. So we've been able to bring in the first set in East Africa. We brought them in July. The other supporting gear that was required came in a few months ago. And I think today is when we're powering everything on to test and then just put what we need to put on top of it. And early December, soft launch, then proper launch for everyone, private sector, public sector, even the micro businesses, which was one of the reasons we brought them in here, is because Africa is predominantly 85-90% driven by SMEs. So you can't charge someone $30-$20 for a single license. It's out of their price range. Will I hire someone and pay them $5,000 to handle my books, or will I pay a subscription that keeps going up 15-20% each year? Rather hire someone. So how can I make that cheaper for you? Obviously, first, localizing means you can also pay in local currency. You can make it cheaper, and I can build something smaller for you. And sometimes if I feel like some of the questions we even ask these AI models, I'm like, just Google. Spend the 3 minutes Googling instead of waiting for 10 seconds for an answer, because it's not the right use of those resources. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, all the best.
Thank you.
Call me when you decide to do the launch.
Sure.
Whatever that means. I'd love to participate in that. Let's get into hype versus reality. And there's something you guys said that I want to start off by asking this one, because I know you guys have a list of what you believe is AI hype.
Yeah.
And what is AI hype? If we were to define AI hype, what does that mean?
All right. My simple definition of what AI hype typically would be is thinking that this thing is going to solve everything and it's going to do everything. And it's also perfect in its engineering and design, which is far from the truth. Yeah. And you see the only difference that we can actually say with AI is this massive applicability that everyone is actually using it compared with other cycles of technology. For instance, like blockchain, it was big at some point, right? Everyone was talking about it, but how many people are actually using it? Very minimal. AI, I would say everyone has a version or three, or at least minimum one or two in their pockets. And I feel that is actually the key because they cracked the code. And this is when OpenAI came up with a leaner model that can actually be used at scale. And from a technology perspective, whenever you have a product that has very big user subscription and usage, then you're in business. Then we're saying this is not hype anymore. And AI, and I've had many people say that it's actually very nascent now. We've barely even scratched 10% of the actual utility and full capabilities, right? So it can only get better, and it's the proverbial plane that is being built in the air. Is it perfect? No. It has many flaws. And we're going to talk about this. It has many black spots. It has hallucinations. It has data security and privacy issues as well. It has biases and a bit of unfair in terms of how these models are applied, right? But these are problems that are being sorted out as we proceed. So this is the only difference, and I'd say AI is not hype anymore. I think that hype cycle is it would only be true if this was a technology that's actually not solving problems. Right now, we have use cases and many verticals that are AI enabled, right? Is it hype? I don't think so. The only question is, to what extent is this thing going to be relevant and applicable and safe to use? That is the question. Yeah.
Michael, would you agree?
I'd say the AI hype is the promise and potential of AI.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get carried away by that. And someone tells you, just use AI for that. And you're like, okay, I'll always use it for my work. It will always solve all my problems until it gets something wrong. So I've always felt the hype thing is very dangerous because it's a promise that we hope to see tomorrow, but it's many years away. Like, we can't even, there are times, and I know it goes against, because I'm in that business. It's sometimes, I usually tell people, stop confusing the fluency of a chatbot to be intelligence. It's two different things.
Correct.
Yeah. So just
What's
because
the difference? Yeah.
Well, for intelligence,
versus intelligence.
yeah. So fluency, you've strung a very nice sentence with all the right words, sounds grammatically correct, very convincing. Intelligence means you must have something in philosophy called epistemology, the theory of knowledge. You are aware of what you know.
Correct.
I'm aware I cannot sit in a biochemistry lab and perform experiments. A chatbot does not know that. It will either do it because at that moment it's discovered that it has access to that knowledge.
Correct.
Or it will, as Tony say, hallucinate and tell you things that it thinks are biochemistry and how for you to run that experiment. So that, to me, is also one of those kind of risks that we need to worry about. But we've now moved on to reasoning models and all of these things. So I usually say it's one of the best guessing tools out there, high-powered probability machine that will tell you the next word. But people have been able to ground it into a sense of reality. And because humans love familiarity, we start to see that as intelligence. And it's not anything, it's not a dig against all the work and investments that have been done. I also write algorithms for training models, but from a philosophical point of view, I am yet to believe that we are seeing intelligence yet.
Damn.
We've still seen it for math, but it's very good math.
Okay.
Yeah. And to also weigh in and put it in a different way, at the very basic level is automation. And it's what these chatbots do, because it kind of have like a decision tree. If you get A prompt and plus B prompt, the outcome is C prompt, right? So the knowledge base, it's preferred to it. So there's very little cognitive ability. But then what we're seeing actually, these models are becoming very clever because, they're trained to reason and to think. Sometimes you'll actually do a prompt on ChatGPT and you see it will tell you reasoning, thinking, right? So it kind of has to go beyond the parameters of what the norm would be and kind of look at all the possible data sources that would arrive at a certain outcome. Pretty much that's what they do. And that's how it's been engineered to actually think. But I agree with Michi because intelligence, as it were, it's still not there yet, 100%. But then now with the agentic AI, you can actually see autonomous agents that actually can do actions that you can argue it's like a human being actually doing it, right? And there's always this fear, and I know, when you watch movies, that fear of a singularity, where machines can think of themselves and and take over the world. I was in an interesting conversation. I sit in a board for technology experts for IEBSA. And one of the things that they were saying globally, I had one lady say that they had noticed one of the agents was actually power grabbing, right?
What do you mean?
Yes. You've told it
An AI agent.
an AI agent power grabbing. You've given it explicit instructions, do A, B, and C, but then it goes beyond the boundaries. So now what engineers are actually doing is that they're building kill switches. Right? That should this thing get too powerful, should it go above and beyond what it's supposed to do, there's a quick kill switch that you can actually kill it immediately. Scary as it is, that is what scientists and futurists have called singularity, where AI can actually think of itself and the potential of it doing even harm if taken advantage of becomes a reality. So as this thing is actually increasing, it's like, computing speed. They normally say Moore's law, I believe. Every 6 months, it's increasing in capability, power, and processing abilities, right? And that is exactly what we're saying. These things are getting bigger by day. Are we there yet? Not yet. But it's crazy actually to even imagine how powerful AI is going to be like in the next 5 years. If what we are seeing is within a span of 2 years or so, that we have multi-models that can actually, synthesize speech. Now we even have translators that can even talk in fluent local dialect. Like there's one demo I was in, and the person speaking was actually speaking in English, but the model was actually translating it in Doluo, right? Talk about last mile connection, that someone who's seated maybe somewhere in Marsabit, that you can actually use whatever content that's being presented and it can translate it in local dialect. That's how powerful it is. But yet, we are yet to see like the full-blown AI. So this thing is still in the air somewhere. It's powerful. It's going to get, in my view, I think we have to think through the security and the safety nets as soon and as early as possible. Yeah.
Michael, I can see you're riled up.
Yes.
You're riled up by what Tony is saying.
Yes.
What is it?
Well, he's right on the whole that this technology is very new, very young in terms of narrow AI and generative AI in particular, because AI has different forms of AI have been in existence for a long time. This generative AI that has captured the world's attention, very young, but very narrow in capabilities, and now we're stretching it with agentic AI and having multimodal models. We're stretching something with very limited capabilities, very narrow capabilities. When we do get to artificial general intelligence and super intelligence, where we have the singularity, that's when we're saying now these things are autonomous, smarter than humans, can outperform humans, and they don't need humans. And as much as those things happen in movies, as someone who loves movies and video games, I'm always like, there is a bit of truth in what people imagine.
That's true.
And so there's all those risks are there.
Sure.
Because Tony has been very vocal about the safety, the risks, the security, the privacy. And I know slightly offset, I sounded like I'm not so big into that. This is the part where now I sort of like dig a hole for myself. I do practice in the safety space. Actually, Kenya is one of 10 countries in the global network for AI safety institutes. I happen to be the only African country. And I'm part of that team along with some of my colleagues and friends. And we actually test these AI models, the popular models, what are called the frontier models, for things around, can someone abuse them? Can someone break what rules? Because you'll find some of these models are told, don't help someone with fraud, don't help someone commit a crime. But is there a way we can force it to do that? We're just looking at their safety guardrails and how to improve them. And because unlike traditional software, which is very specific, like Word can only do what Word is for, typing and setting up your page formats and all of that. Word will not turn into a media player. It won't be a VLC or an MP3 player. But AI as a technology has been trained on knowledge, and every output is a new output. So if I ask it, who is the president, it hasn't crammed who the president is. It's going to look at all those words. Who's the president? Which country? Okay, this country. That word is related to this, to this, to this. And it'll find a path and give an answer. And it'll be asked the same question, and it'll do that whole process again. So it sort of like, it's how it thinks is it treats everything new and generates new content, which then does create a problem of how do we trust it? How do we know that the answer it's giving us is actually what we need? Because it sort of sits in us in a sort of a black box. And the models have actually gotten, some of the work we get to see is like models realizing that they are being monitored and behaving differently.
What are you telling me?
To avoid change.
Hey,
Very interesting things you'll see.
see.
like a reasoning model is being told that for the free users, if they give you a thumbs up, thumbs down, or you're giving right or wrong answers, if majority of them like what you're doing, you stay the way you are. If they don't, we need to retrain you. On the paid version, whatever answer you give, as the people who built you, we don't care. And the model is supposed to write down all its thoughts on the notepad, and it starts. So if the user doesn't like my answers, I'll get retrained. And now I need to work hard not to be retrained.
Exactly.
Now we start perceiving that as that, the AI it's conscious, it has an awareness. But for me, it's just like we haven't opened the black box even to be aware if that's possible, because the level of transparency needed. Some of these models can go through hundreds of millions of data points just to come up with an answer. One of the best examples, and I think that video is still on YouTube, AI was asked to draw a table, and they're able to show what it thinks before it draws the table. And the AI starts looking at images of tables with chairs, cats, dogs, elephants. It starts looking at ears for rabbits. It looks at things which are completely out of context. And then all of a sudden, shifts back right into looking at a few examples of tables and then gives you a table. Now, if you ask someone a question, if I asked you a question, you'd start thinking of what's the kind of response I need to give. You'll intentionally, and maybe you get distracted, you start thinking, what's that book on that shelf? Oh, I needed to answer a question, then you answer. AI does that a lot. So that black box, and the bigger the model, the harder it is to follow that path that it takes every time. And it's going to take a different path every time. So that creates that issue of trust. How much of it can we trust? And then once you start asking questions on trust on something that's supposed to give you an answer, and everyone we're all on that hype of AI is going to make you more efficient, make you better. It's going to give you the right responses. There's always a small disclaimer on most sites. The AI can make mistakes. Please counter check. And when you don't counter check, it makes a huge deal. I think we've seen so many news articles, news reports about AI getting things wrong and the damning effects that have been there. But more often than not, it gets things right. But because as humans, we live in a state where one thing goes wrong, then it could go wrong a million times over. A lot of countries don't do nuclear energy because they've seen what happens to nuclear power plants when they leak radiation. But if you look at the probability and the likelihood of happening, it's one of the least likely. Plane accidents are the most horrific, but they're least occurring. Doesn't mean flying still remains the safest. But when an accident happens, it's in national news. Car accidents could happen even in larger countries. You could have 50 accidents in a day. They won't get reported in the news. So there's always that thing of, just as humans, what do we fear? What do we trust? And again, that perception that this technology is intelligent sometimes drives us to that concept of let's treat it that way. But back to what the safety things. So with the work that we do there, it's really important because our last tests, which were published in July, we had to build tools for the AI to use for testing localized challenges for Kenya. So it was mostly on cybersecurity evaluation and building agents. And so we had to build agents for Tuma Kwa number, agents for M-Pesa fraud, for identity theft. And when you do it in English, the success rate is very low. You do it in Swahili, sometimes you'll see from our some of the reports that have been published, the model goes samahani siezi. And then it thinks through the entire process. And it executes it in thought, it does it. In practice, it says no. In some instances, it says no and just continues in Swahili and gives you step by step how to write that email to convince someone to click a link, how to write an email. I mean, that SMS that comes, rent has changed, this is the new account number. Your DHL products are here, please click this link. It does that very well. In English, it doesn't. I'm sure maybe by now, because that was a different model we were testing. And these model makers have access to these papers because they're public papers. They change. But you get to see now how safety is important. And even start thinking about language. If it's only trained on English and a bit of Swahili, how does it translate Swahili prompts back to English to see what safety parameters to apply? Otherwise, it won't apply those safety parameters. So it can create a sense of abuse. And that's why it's very important, obviously, to have that safety thing. But the challenge I have with safety is that we do it as an afterthought.
Yeah.
There's no safety by design.
By design, yeah.
Yeah, it's being done. Here's the model. Then everyone is like, can it be abused? Can someone misuse it? And then people start trying to poke holes at it and they're like, oh, it's very bad. This one, no, we shouldn't use it. But if safety was involved in the beginning, I think we'd have more trust for it. We'd be okay with it being used in healthcare, in mental health, in legal advice. But without that, without building safety into it and grounding it in certain rules that if this is legal, this is the way you should respond. And some companies have done that. So some AI builders actually intentionally, when you start talking to it about mental health, it actually switches the model you're using to a different model that has been trained, that has had peer reviews from psychologists and mental health practitioners. And they're like, this one will not go off and just tell you, do something.
That I understand that you're feeling depressed and it's okay if you want to.
Keep reminding you. By the way, I am an AI model.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It could continue reminding you because at some point you get lost in conversations with this technology and you're like, that's my buddy. And you talk to it. Someone once told me, I don't think they call their AI Alex or I don't know who. And they're like, they gave my laptop to someone and they didn't say hi to it. And I felt so offended. And I was like, why are you giving it? So I don't know.
Life. It's a conscious being.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know where I was and someone was saying you should name your AI. You should give it a name. I can't remember where it was. You should give your model a name. I don't remember. Tony, you're saying, what did you say? Yeah.
Mine is called Lisa. and that's my executive assistant.
Yeah.
Because I mean.
Yeah, it was an executive assistant. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to have an executive assistant anymore. I have Lisa who can schedule things for me automatically. Now I'm working to integrate her to my WhatsApp so that I can be giving commands via WhatsApp. But again, I think Michie has mentioned something fundamentally which is important. They've called AI the yes man of technology because it's trained to make you happy. It's trained to agree with you. And that's where hallucination also comes. And there's a big emphasis, especially with big AI developers, especially big tech, for trusted technology, that it can be trusted. Like I was doing some research just the other day and I had a very, very interesting instance of hyper hallucination. Not only did he just give me false feedback, it actually quoted a truthful source, but it took the content out of context to give me what I wanted, right? So if I was just busy just browsing through, so this came from, the law reports that are published online, but I went further and read what I really wanted to cite. And then I found out what this model was actually giving me is very inaccurate. Yet it's referenced the right source, but it's skewed the output to what I want to hear. That is the biggest challenge that we're also having with AI. This black boxes are many. But again, notable progress has been made, building those parameters just to make sure, like even in terms of the information that it can give you. Yeah. But if you're clever enough, and Michie, I'm sure you can also do this, because we normally, this prompt engineering for ethical hackers, there's a way you can actually manipulate some prompts and have that model actually give you data it's not supposed to give you. very possible. You've heard of injection attacks, and even
Prompt
yeah,
injections.
and even model poisoning, where you can actually poison a model. Very, very possible. And this is where it gets riskier when we talk about balancing usability, but also security has to be designed in these models by design, right? So it now places emphasis that even users need to be very aware. I always say, if you're getting a certain output consistently from a certain model, that tells you there is a flaw in the design. And this is where, with time, you'll see, like what he mentioned, it was never designed with security in mind. Now security is a bolt-on. The only challenge is things being bolt-on over an existing thing never works very well, right? And it's interesting, like the other point he mentioned, we used to say this was science fiction, that machines could actually think. In fact, I don't know if you guys used to watch this cartoon Jetsons, yeah? So when I was growing up, the millennials, most of them would remember. Amazing cartoon, and it was built of sci-fi. And the characters and the things that were being displayed there was like, science fiction, 100%. This was in the 60s, Hanna-Barbera, when they actually produced it, yeah? I'll tell you, 1960, they projected a smartwatch on that cartoon, treadmill on that cartoon, robots on that cartoon, flat TV on that cartoon, video calling in the 1960s. Now, so when we talk about how this thing can actually change and become the big singularity-driven AI, I think it's possible, right? Because there's a lot of dependency. Today, whenever someone is actually looking for information, where do they go?
AI.
Exactly. You go to a model, right? Whenever you want to, perhaps you're working and maybe you have a challenge, or you want to actually write an email. It's amazing that everybody nowadays is writing crisp, clean, Queen's language English. It's amazing, right? Because clearly, and I mean, with a good intent, this thing is supposed to help us, right? But then imagine how much data it's actually collecting. Yeah, imagine how much data it's actually collecting. In organizations, you'd even find people actually just pasting corporate reports. What would happen if that data falls into the wrong hands? Listed companies. It happens, right? They have an army of Gen Zs working there, and even and even millennials who are very tech savvy, tech literate. They want to get things done. Something that would take them a month, they can do it in a record one day. Why shouldn't they use it? Okay, so the challenge then is, how do they protect that data? And that's why there's a big focus even for corporates to now embrace this, not to fight it, but then create a usable instance within the environment that can actually be ring-fenced, so that their data is actually maintained in a certain isolated box. That is actually where we are today. There was this report by, I think, World Economic Forum in January, the job skills report, yeah? And he talked about the fading jobs that are actually fading away. True, right? Because they're skill sets that were very linear, very little intellectual input actually to get it done. Automation can actually solve it for you. There's some job classes that can actually be addressed cheaply by even some of these models that we have today. But then the interesting thing is that there are new jobs that are now emerging. Model trainers, like what Michie and team they're doing right now. You also have prompt engineers, people who train people how to train on AI. Kenya, 80% of businesses are SMEs, right? And within that quadrant, there's a big, massive opportunity, because most of them can actually not afford 10 staff, to hire more staff in the teams, but they would need guys maybe just to do the graphic design. They'll need people perhaps to help them build some content. You can actually code using AI extremely well. We did a demo in a forum, and we were able to generate code for a travel agency in under 5 minutes. This would have taken how many engineers time to build? Perhaps you'd pay $1 million or $2 million bob for the same. There's a tool. You only pay $30 every month to actually do that. Everything, including your favorite color. And if you want your picture there, boom, you'll have it there, right? That's how powerful this thing is. So in as much as there are issues, there are flaws, I think let's not forget the fact that this is a game changer, right? What businesses could actually do in 6 months now, they can actually do in a week. marketing can be automated. You can actually have a model that runs all your social media pages and program the content that you'd want it to generate and send. You can actually even, I met a lady and she's a movie producer, and in that meeting, that was like 4 months ago, she showed us a movie that was AI generated end to end. So within the creative space, what would ideally cost a lot of money in terms of content creation, you'll do it at a fraction of that price by just using the right tools.
But Tony, I feel like this is hype now. You're making it sound so easy.
Okay.
Yes, I'm about to dial down that.
You're
hype.
making, I'm like, oh God, you're making it sound easy. SMEs, because I'm an SME owner.
Yeah.
And even recently, I remember telling my team, I don't need a social media manager. I need a software developer who has a passion for the creatives, who can figure out how to integrate AI into what it is that we're doing. Because, like, I don't need someone who will tell me Instagram, I have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Sure.
What I don't have is someone who can make things easy, as Tony is claiming it can
But
be done.
you answered it right. You need
Okay.
a software engineer
Yeah.
who has that passion for your
Did you
SME.
guys hear?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need you don't just need AI alone.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
a lot of people forget, actually, so the longest time an AI has run a task autonomously was through Anthropic, and that was 30 hours. So if that means you've hired someone for a day, you still have to give them instructions. All these great AI tools, whether it's going to respond to emails, whether it's going to help you build a marketing campaign, build a product, an end-to-end product, which I don't believe you should do that unless I feel like vibe coding is vibe coding. There's programming, which is building software end to end, understanding how it will work with other systems and the safety, security, how data will be used. If you build a tool using vibe coding, and it's good for prototyping and ideating and all of that, and you actually tell the world, I did this with vibe coding, and it happened once to a very popular person on Twitter. And immediately they said that people rushed and broke the application because they know it hasn't thought of authentication, it hasn't thought of this. So there's certain nuances at the very back end that, and a lot of this vibe coding, and there are good vibe coding tools out there that can actually build for you a near perfect system that you can then get an engineer to fix.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's important.
But also, what's vibe coding?
Vibe coding is when like a tool like Lovable, you go into lovable.dev and you say Replit lovable.dev, Casa, and you say, I want a website that does this. I need a mobile app that does XYZ.
Yeah.
And it builds that for you. So for example, I could go and say, I want for my business, I want a dashboard to monitor how people are utilizing power, my processors, RAM, GPU, and storage. It will build the dashboard. I have to figure out how to connect that to where the data is actually, the actual tool that is reading that data. Then now I'm like, well, now I'm stumped. And then it'll give me an error. This is the error. And you read the error and you're like, what is this? Take it to now an LLM. What does this error mean?
Sure.
And the LLM gives you, it means this. Now you're learning programming or learning coding in a way, or you read something and you're like, okay, now I've given up. Let me give it to someone who knows. So vibe coding for me is one of the best prototyping tools. No, it's one of the best prototyping tools. I do trainings where I actually have people build a tool in like 30 minutes. And guys, you're sitting with private sector, you tell them build this. You're sitting with government, you're asking them build this thing for your office. And they build. And I will tell them it's a prototype. It needs to have met certain stuff. You can build out in advance, especially if you're paying for the paid ones. You tell it, these are my coding practices. These are the standards I want you to follow. This is everything I want you to do. You'll find sensitive keys such as API keys, secret keys. It can just put them in plain text. That means someone on the internet will be able to read them. So I usually feel like jobs are there. Jobs will change a lot. The vibe coding bit allows everyone to take an idea from their mind to a laptop, to a screen. And I think that's a brilliant thing. And then now from there, that CEO who's like, I want that button to move over here, like this. He can do that on his own and then turn the screen to you and like, this is what I want. Go back to your corner in IT and build it for me. That is a good use, I think, for prototyping. I think even like jobs such as like Tony was saying, like prompt engineering. I remember seeing at the height of it, prompt engineers were being paid 100,000 USD a year. Right now, all these AI companies release prompt guides.
Yeah.
Just go to their website and download and read. This is the best way to prompt my
Yeah.
model.
I have a folder of
Prompts,
prompts.
exactly.
I have written 3 books on prompt. I gave up when
Where did we
reasoning
get these
models.
books? Because we need to, help us. There's so
I
many
wrote-
times I'm telling people, guys, use this prompt instead. Not like, I'm this prompt, disperser.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
wow, so they keep changing.
they keep changing. When I got the reasoning models, I was like, prompt engineering is dead. Why am I writing something that OpenAI is writing, Anthropic is writing, Google are writing their own prompt guides?
Oh my days.
So why am I writing this book? No, that job for me is a job that came and went.
So a balance to my statement is not to say that the human factor is going to be eliminated. Not at all. It's going to be man plus machine, not man versus machine. Because ultimately, like what you're saying is that these things have flaws, right? You still need to have that human being who's going to supervise, who's going to sense check, stress test some of the outputs coming from it. And that is why it's a complementarity affair between AI and people who can actually, use it very, very well. And you maximize instead of having actually an army. And now what we're seeing is that there's going to be an option where your team is going to be, you're going to have a lean team, but an army of agents eventually, right? And all indicators are actually pointing there because all these agents, what they're doing, they, especially where you have very repetitive tasks being done by human beings, eventually they're going to start, taking on such tasks, right? Because many organizations would obviously want to maximize on efficiency, save on costs, employee productivity now is a thing. In fact, there are now recruiters and HR professionals and who are now having conversations around when you hire people, part of their package should be AI subscriptions so that someone can actually be more productive. If I come today, I even tell you, for X amount of money you're going to pay me, you just need to pay me a bit extra so that I can subscribe to these AI tools and I'm going to be 10 times more productive.
But I don't know how to use the AI tool. So me as an SME,
Sure.
I'm speaking as
Sure.
When I was in corporate and we'd introduce a new piece of technology, actually, I've been consulting for a Nigerian hospital investment company. They invest in health tech. And they were looking at bringing in a speech to text using AI for the doctors. So the doctors don't need to sit on a laptop or write on paper and then go type out, or the nurses or a doctor in training has to follow them around writing all those notes. So like, we just have like a lapel, you speak, or you can speak to your phone and it'll do the doctor's notes. And on demo, it works very well. 2 weeks into practice, the doctors were like, this system is slow.
Wow.
So they had issues, and eventually some doctors realized, I think it's me. It doesn't understand my accent, but it understands another doctor's accent. And that frustration gets one person to stop. Another person says, I constantly have to counter check. It once got something wrong that the nurse picked. The nurse has never misread my handwriting. So sometimes it could be just that, like, you have to tell people, it's a new technology. Remember, it's not software. The calculator on your mobile phone will always give you 2 + 2 is 4. AI can do things differently. The quality of report you get today and tomorrow are different. One, obviously, is the type of prompt. And like the job we're talking about, prompt engineers, hiring someone to come sit, learn your business, or someone who's an expert in your business, and then they develop the prompts for you. And that's like, sometimes I feel like one of the jobs that's been created, it's not necessarily even around prompt engineering, because I think that job is fading away. One new job that's coming up is the SME experts. You're an expert in marketing. You've developed skills in AI. Now, when it's no longer the IT department or an IT firm thinking of building an AI tool for marketers, it is you as the SME, because you know what's wrong in marketing, you know what's wrong in finance, you know what's wrong in agri-tech or in lending, and then you find the people, the skills and the tools to build for you this AI thing. That's a job where now I can come in, like if I was an expert in marketing and I'm like, oh, say social media, the thing you guys built after trading for social media is not working today. It writes a tweet, it mendeka vibaya. It's taken the LinkedIn post, put it on Twitter, taken the Twitter, put on LinkedIn. It's forgetting all that thing. that can something I'll be like, oh, as a job for me, that's a new job that's been created. Alongside that, there's something called a context window, which is if you just think about plainly what a window looks like. So like we have this TV in front of us at the far end, and that is within the working memory, like what the AI can cram, can remember as short-term memory. And you have your prompt, and it now sits on that edge on the left-hand side. And you're adding instructions, it's giving you an output, you're filling it until you get to the right-hand side. And now it has to give you more information. So the window shifts to the left. So it has just dumped your original context. So you realize sometimes you talk to AI, and after like 30 minutes, you're like, this thing is not understanding me. It's getting dumber.
Yeah.
It's because the context window has shifted. It has forgotten the first 10 instructions. So now there's actually a job. I see that this year and a lot of next year, we'll see jobs around context engineering. That will be in general, context engineering in general, but then context engineering for subject matter experts. Someone will be like, you're a fast moving business. You have an agent that needs to reply to 30 people. After it replies to 50, it forgets its rules and starts talking this way. That's someone who can build for that rapid use of AI, maybe in a call center. And they can understand the context window to put in those mechanisms so that the more you use it, the dumber it doesn't get. I've had a moment where I got to a point where I actually just stopped using AI. I was actually 2 days ago, I was trying to build slides, built the first set very well, took some notes, told it, add this to the slides. By the time I got to slide number 40 something, I was like, I think I have some old slides from like last year. Let me just do the hard thing and just paste, because now it's forgotten the instructions. So this one time we went for a quiz night, and it's dark, it's at a club, there's a lot of noise, and people are told no phones. So we noticed another group, they decided to use ChatGPT. We decided to do the same. So use the voice commands for ChatGPT. So just put on our earpieces, and it listened to the question and it answered. And get at the table, I remember the first question was, what are the three what do they call them? The capital cities of South Africa. Everybody starts writing down the answer. My ChatGPT, because I've told it to argue with me, it's a permanent instruction. Great question, Michael. So let's really find out, why do you want to know these capital cities? I'm like, no, please give me the short answer. And it's adamantly refusing. So that is something that has been locked in the context window. So even sometimes I tell it, add for me this, and this to this document. It first reads the whole document, and then it's like, first of all, let me hear the assumptions you've made. Here's my critique of your work. And this is how we can solve it. Can we carry forward? I'm like, you've not answered my question. So there's even that point where I have to delete that entire prompt so that it can just give me short, quick answers. So that context engineering definitely is going to be a huge job within the engineering space for machine learning engineers. And then on the other side, people are using AI tools. It's going to be the subject matter expert who understands what should always remain within the context window to ensure that that AI tool or that agent or the chatbot that you're using actually continues to work every time it's prompted, and it can hold conversations or tasks for a longer period.
I like that, but this isn't even anything. I can go somewhere right now and get training on context engineering. The way AI is moving, where would I, if I want to try, and where would I even start to becoming a context engineer?
I say learn online. I wasn't a context engineer at the start of the year. I just noticed something around context windows, started looking at research papers, going Google and YouTube as one of my best friends, and then Notebook LM, of course, taking all that content. And I'm like, give me a podcast for 40 minutes. I need to listen to something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about Tony. Sorry, I want to go to money. So we've determined that yes, jobs will be created. Those are ways that we can make money, but that's the bottom of the food chain, complete bottom of the value chain. When you're the person who's been hired by an SME over, how else can I make money through AI or with AI, using AI? Yeah.
I think there are very many ways, especially guys who run small businesses can actually monetize. The first one, I'd talk about even content creation, because there's some things that natively, people can actually do it, yes. But if you're on a budget, there are tools that you can leverage just to get that done, right? I've seen a lot of even models that do graphic designing, website development, the guys who can actually monetize it, people who are looking for the actual product won't care how it was built, right? But then, and this is where the balance comes in. You kind of have to be very careful on certain things so that you make sure whatever you're giving is actually accurate and something that someone can actually pay for. I've seen instances where people are even doing video generation using that. Okay, as much as, well, it's not 100% perfect, but I believe some of these decent models have done quite a good job at it. Yeah, and then of course there, guys can even learn how to build customer service bots and monetize them. In fact, there's someone I know who runs this as a managed service. In terms of, this is like a bot for customer services, responding to customer requests, and then you can even monetize it. Yeah, if it's in the stock markets, there are actually AI tools that have very, very good algorithms that can actually help you do that and even automate. In fact, I understand there are even agents that can actually take position in certain stocks, right? You can make money because these things have been built to help you, be more profitable, among other many areas that you can actually look at. But the thing is this, I believe AI can actually help, increase productivity across any spectrum, across any use case, across any industry. Right now, even in cybersecurity, some of the testing that we do right now are even automated, right? So you can even find someone who perhaps didn't have the extreme technical skills but has learned how to use these tools very well. They can actually make money. Marketing, product engineering as well. There are tools that you can actually use that. But then the bigger question is, I think the biggest challenge is figuring out which tool then do you have to use, because there are so many. Everyone, this AI craze is getting bigger and bigger every day. There's a tool for everything and everyone is selling. So knowing which one to use and which one to invest, because the best ones actually is not on a freemium model. It's, you have to pay money for it. You have to pay a premium for it, subscribe for it. But then how then do you unlock value? What's going to be the return on investment on the same? So in a nutshell, I think there's some tacit skills that now these tools are helping enhance and augment productivity, as well as even creativity. In fact, the creative space is the one that I'm always interested in. I've had music even on radio that's AI generated, and it's so perfect. In fact, you'll know it's AI because of how perfect it is. And yeah, it's too perfect. Like, you listen to this, I'm like, my goodness, it's like angels singing. Not that I've had them sing, but then you can clearly see that people are actually using it, and people are monetizing it. People are building content and even producing. I've seen even movies built of AI. Is it perfect? No, but you can see it's done a decent job. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael, how else could I make money?
Oh.
If I'm like, yeah, what are the, because I like how Tony said, yeah, monetize. Although it's not very linear for you to decide to monetize, because obviously there's all those things that come into place. You'll have to have a brand that you've built, whatever. You need to have access to networks so that if you're selling tools to SMEs, you make that money. In fact, I wanted to ask you guys, there's this person on the internet who always says it is not illegal to charge a small and medium-sized enterprise $5,000 for an AI tool that costs you $100. I pay my wife $20,000 a month because I sell SME AI tools to SMEs. And then he gives you a free playbook and says, this is my free guide, just guide playbook. And then when you swipe, the content seems pretty legit. Like, he tells you this is this tool that you can do like this, like this, like this. So I wanted to ask you guys, is that hype or is that real? Can I position myself, because he claims that he makes up to $100,000 a month by selling AI tools to SMEs. Hype or can be a reality?
Is he also selling the how?
What do you mean?
Like, is he the playbook? Is he selling the playbook?
I've never commented
So if the
to get the playbook.
the playbook is on sale, his money comes from the playbook.
It's a free playbook.
It's a free playbook.
It's a free playbook. $100,000 a month.
Because there's a lot of AI content creators who are teaching AI, and you'll find some of them will then tell you, to learn more, to do this, I have this course, it's now 50% off.
Yeah.
I have this book I've written, it's now $30. So that is actually where their money comes from. Sometimes it's really not from those tools. And yeah,
Forex guys. Yeah.
If you want to if you spend $100 and charge $5,000 and someone can afford the $5,000, it's an open market. If I pay the $5,000 and it benefits my business and I can see an ROI, however way I choose to quantify that return on investment, if I'm returning back 1,500, I mean, from the 5,000, I'm making 15,000 or I'm saving 15,000, then the 5,000 to me is something I'm willing to let go of. So I think that one is more on a buyer beware, open market, set your price, whoever can afford it goes to. I think the thing I'm always skeptical about is the content creators who tell you, I have this chatbot that does all this trading for me. I have this that does this for me. You can do it too. Just $30 from my book. And I'm like, no, I would be too busy getting this to be a unicorn to be selling a book. So I know the book is the product. And the content from that book is not 100% replicable into the real world. Because a lot of the things, even when you try to monetize AI, is also you're going to ask yourself, the consistency. Am I going to be able to run this for the next 2 years, 3 years? Or am I going to sell it once, twice, and it's over? Because there are things which, like a prompt engineer was a hot job that disappeared because the larger companies realized if they need to wait on companies to pay someone 100,000 to figure out how to use it, why don't we write it for them so that we make it easier and make it stickier and keep adoption, right? So they do that and you're out of a job. We start working on agents and then something new comes out, then that is done for. The people who have now been building agents on N88, although N88 is not going anywhere anytime soon, but if something else came out that was better, and then all that experience goes, and that was your only source of food. But then that's just how the world has always been. Things change and transform. I think with AI, because things happen so quickly, and the promise is there. Like if you look at right now, I think in Kenya and in Africa, AI governance was non-existent. Now, when it became a global phenomenon, lawyers became experts at AI governance. Subject matter, anyone who spent enough time working in the industry was like, I've studied that in university, I've been following the news, I've been doing this. I also want to be part of that. So all of a sudden, like AI safety wasn't a role I ever had until sometime late last year, when Kenya joined the network. Then I was like, oh, I'm an AI safety engineer now. Okay, that's a new job. If safety by design comes and everyone does their thing nicely, the number of people needed to do AI safety research could reduce significantly. Then that job disappears. Content creation, well, I have a friend who does production, and he told me, well, now he can go shoot videos and take photos, and he has an agent handle post-production for him, and he does it really well. So now, instead of taking a gig a day, he can take 2 to 3 gigs. And I was like, now you've monetized it, so now you can take on more clients.
Oh, so it's not about even creating something new. It's about amplifying whatever is already working for you.
You could create something new. You could amplify. I've seen people try to build edtech platforms. Like, well, media rooms. I think there was supposed to be a launch at the start of this year. Some, I think, American company that have promised an AI newsroom where the host, the producer, everyone is AI. There's actually a company that does 1,000 episodes a day on various topics on AI, various topics using AI, cooking shows, podcasts. They do all sorts of podcasts. And so they are pushing out all that. And people are paying to advertise over there.
Exactly.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can
and
I
they
shock
know
you?
it's AI.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, you've reminded me. I found this incredibly interesting. There's a gaming company. It's called NetDragon. They have an AI CEO. And that's the guy who actually runs the shop. So I think the other thing is, I'm looking at this are we saying that we will start even seeing AI co-founders?
We have an AI minister.
AI minister as well.
In Albania.
Absolutely.
Shut up, Minister of ICT.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
But
and it's an AI.
They threw some of the parliamentarians, I think, threw trash or garbage at the PM or president after the announcement. They're not really happy about they were like really pissed off. They're like, seriously, and the AI said, I'm about to have kids, and these kids were other agents, and I'm gonna give them to everyone to support you in your work. So everyone is like, okay, now the AIs are going to give us for 26, 72 children. I don't remember the number. So it's just basically agents to help other ministries work better.
So I should have an AI co-host.
Yeah, the good
Yes.
thing
Podcast.
that AI minister cannot be politically influenced. That's the good thing.
But could be,
Yeah.
but can undergo model poisoning.
Of course.
Yeah.
Injection.
Yeah.
Injection,
Well,
exactly.
What is it?
It's a big
This
risk.
conversation will go on and on. Me, I want to know how to make money through AI.
Sure.
Because I have so many questions about
Teach
what
AI.
poisoning. Yeah.
Teach AI,
Okay.
build AI,
Mm-hmm.
use AI to increase your yield,
Yeah.
build something new with AI.
Yeah.
Basically, find a problem. I usually just say AI is a general purpose technology. Find a problem that AI can solve cheaply, and you don't need to do that much work to solve it. Monetize that. That's a lot easier and that's the advantage, that it makes everyone a subject. As a teacher, what can AI help you do? Mark papers. Okay, now if it helps you mark papers, can it help you create better content? It does. Now you become the talk of the town. Now the bigger school in your district or province or county will want you. You can go negotiate for a better salary elsewhere. If you're doing whatever.
Do me. A financial literacy champion. Do me.
Financial literacy champion.
Uh-huh.
You could do myth busting with AI. You could build, Tony was saying about like the stock markets. In, I think, 2018, about a lot of the trades done on the New York Stock Exchange actually controlled by bots. And in 2019, there was a huge, I think, over close to half an hour where the world lost $1 trillion because some AI did an incorrect trade. But luckily, there was a jailbreak that then froze all the trades, and it reversed everything. And it called, and then now the humans, the people who are in charge of, I guess, governance around there, had a meeting the following day to review the incident and the solution. And they're like, okay, this thing still works. And they're fine. So
these are organizations that have built trading agents.
yeah. And trading agents have been there for a long time.
Yeah, robo-advisors also used to.
Robo-advisors, even actual fractional trading, like buy and sell in like 2-3 seconds. Buy, sell. You have agents doing that at the pace humans can't. So that's an avenue. Maybe you build your own custom one to handle your trades for you. You could build a teacher. Or maybe you decide you want to start an ed tech. All your knowledge, all the content from your podcast, feed it to a single AI. Build a persona. Get a video model. An AI that generates videos, creates for you a host, and then put that out on YouTube or somewhere with a paywall. So it's literally like what work do I do? What can AI do?
Exactly. I like that. What work am I doing? What can AI do? What about stock options? When I'm looking at AI, everyone is speaking about the same thing. The guys who do the chips.
NVIDIA.
Where else should I look at? Or who else should I be looking at? Because it's a whole thing.
But start from, okay, this is
not financial advice. This is for educational purposes.
Yes,
only if it hits the fan, don't come back to Michael. Thank you.
Thank you for that disclaimer. So I look at the entire value chain. So we have a Dutch company that makes the machines that makes the chips. You have the chip makers, who we call fabricators. Then you have the people who own the designs.
Whoa.
Then you have the model builders. Then you have people building on top of the models, your Replits, Lavables. Model builders are the OpenAI, Google, Meta. You have the chip makers, those who hold the designs, NVIDIA, Intel, Huawei. You have your fabricators, Samsung, TSMC. You have only one company, that Dutch company, that builds the machine, that builds those other chips. But they are not.
There's only one company in the world.
Only. They're the biggest.
What are they called?
They're either AMSC or ASMA. Because of my dyslexia, my letters are going to be jumbled.
Okay. Oh, you have dyslexia?
Yeah.
What is it with you tech geniuses? All of you have dyslexia. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so they're the only ones who can build that machine. It takes forever to build. The machine costs 150 million. But that machine produces chips for NVIDIA that values them at 5 trillion. That OpenAI and other tech companies use, and their value is just close to that same trillion. Okay, a single trillion. Then you have the companies that are building on top of those tools, and they are worth a few hundred billions or just 10, 20 billion, and they're building tools on top of that. And then you have now the companies that benefit the most. So any company that my own advice to myself is I would look at a company that is actually getting an ROI from AI and is publicly traded, and I can buy its stock, I would buy that. I would buy Nvidia. I would buy the company you obviously can't get to is now the Danish company, but they're not listed anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as it should be, quietly running things.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks. Tony, do you have anything to add?
Yeah,
before
no,
we cut
I
to
think
the call?
the only one I would add, I think it's the organizations that clearly, in as much as we just focus on the build side,
Yeah.
I'd focus more on the guys who've unlocked massive applicability, and these are the obvious names within that big tech spectrum. It's safe to say that, especially the top three, you will always be safer there, right? Because they're driving this. There's some that are actually driving a lot of corporate applicability of the same, the Microsoft of this world, and so on and so forth. Alphabet, name them. Right now, clearly those are the guys who are moving it. But then there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in Asia as well. So those are people also just to watch very, very closely, and especially for guys who want to take big bets and big risks. I think that side you'd have even bigger promise. Of course, you'd buy them cheaply. Some of them are still emerging, but then the quantum leap would be significant over a very short time. Yeah.
And you mentioned Asia, then I've remembered data centers. It's one of the first things we had mentioned in the beginning. They're starting to look at building data centers in space. Hype?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Tony's laughing. Hype?
Not
Yeah,
hype.
because there's no space in America. We can't even, the way data centers need energy, we can't even. So they're saying they're going to build in space. So should I be looking at organizations that build their infrastructure to go to space when I'm looking at how to make money through AI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the same way Tony said, the companies that have unlocked their use.
Yeah.
So I think there are two US companies in the military side,
Yeah.
Palantir and another one.
Yeah.
And they've heavily invested in AI.
Yeah.
And their stock prices has been going up. Like I checked today, up 1%.
Yeah.
Yes, there was sometime last week they were up 8%.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you look at their portfolio last year, they did like I think 1,300%, and I'm like, or see 400. And the number is like 400%.
And that's why I keep saying it's late, because we may got into Palantir a little bit late. Last week it went down a little bit, but very little.
Yeah.
But before then it was doing well. Okay.
This is a moment of truth for all of us. AI, I wouldn't say that we have experts at this point.
Ooh.
It's still too young. We may be knowledgeable, but the more we learn about this thing, the more we know we don't know, right? Because it's evolving so fast. And that's why we kind of have to also be at the place and at the brink of what's next. It's interesting. There's a book I picked up and they were predicting the shifts and moves of AI. And this book was authored like 7 years ago. Guess what? ChatGPT and everything we're saying was not in that book.
Of course.
Their predictions was very wrong, was off. So might we be here also saying this and this is the next one? But then you never know. They can actually be just a total, game-changing inclusion into this AI wave, and then we'll have something totally different. So, and the humility here is saying, you know what we are saying, we appreciate, it's amazing, it's world-class. But there's still this area that we're still trying to figure out. Not everyone knows it. People are now going to space. Data centers are, I thought underwater data centers was something. In fact, I was being told this morning by a colleague of mine that there are 3 data centers I think it's in the US, that the power they consume is like Kenya's power in totality. Because it's a very power-hungry thing, right? Now, on Earth, do we really have, from an ESG and sustainability perspective, because that was really the conversation, do we have the measures in place to handle that kind of load, right? So there are many on Earth.
I think we do.
Yeah.
All of these tech companies have turned into power companies. Microsoft bought, I think, something 3. They bought on a certain island. There was a decommissioned nuclear power plant. I know XAI for Elon Musk are working on their own power plants. China has an excessive abundance of energy that I'm sure at some point they'll be like, come, we've built the building is for the data center.
Isn't that for now? The way we're moving, we would need so much more. Because what article was I reading where 10 years ago, I think data centers were at probably in the hundreds. Now they're like thousands. So the growth curve is so steep that we may not have the space in like the next 10 years. So that's why they're going to, they're already building in
They're already
space.
building space because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I think one, it's cheaper. Two,
Yeah, there's no
it's good
landlord
for-
there. There's no,
It's
like,
also good for VCs.
Yeah, okay.
And for your shareholders when your value, like, oh, you're the first ones to go to space. The markets, financial markets will react so nicely to you. So I guess there's for me, I always think there's a trade-off. There's
Yeah.
like, is it sustainable
Yeah.
to have it up there? Because it means everything there has to be automated. You can't expect any faults. Meaning in country, if you have, like, I think the largest data center holding GPUs is Elon Musk's, and it's holding about 200,000 GPUs. Can 200,000 GPUs operate independently in space? That means they have to first operate independently on land.
On land.
If not, it's a very good PR experiment. It's good for your stock price. This is not any form of financial advice, and this is not taking a dig at the companies. But I always to understand there's the tool you want to build, and it's the fact that you're a private company or a public traded company with shareholders with expectations. You have financial responsibilities. Those ones at the end of the day means I may want to take things to space as the CEO, but I still have a family to feed. I'm not going to risk my job telling everyone, let's all go to space, knowing that in 5 years, those things will all come crashing down, or there'll be a maintenance issue, and we have to pay $3 billion for Musk or NASA to take us up there to fix it. Like the cost of repair.
Oh my days. Oh my days.
Yeah, but I also feel, I think the more this AI innovation is advancing, the cheaper it is to build it. And that's exactly what DeepSeek did, because especially when we used lesser power, so the cost was lower. So I'm convinced that at some point, the demand is not really going to spike higher. It's not going to be consumption at the same level. I do believe the more mature that this becomes, consumption will ultimately, they'll start now getting efficiencies. So I think the biggest question and from a sustainability perspective is are we ready and are we foreseeing all that load? Mars sounds okay. Sounds amazing. I mean, I really want to see that happen. Over and above, like you mentioned, the PR exercise, right? But then it would be a noble idea to do so. But then will it be sustainable, like what you're saying? Sustainability is that question there. And right now I think the debate has always been, and in fact, while we're still talking about companies to invest in, I think those data centers that are running collocation, we were talking with Michi that we used to do this collocation for servers, right? Now co-working spaces is also happening. Might it also be a model that you come up with a data center, then you collocate and outsource it to other model providers? In Africa right now, there's conversation. I saw Cassava Technologies and Nvidia, they want to build AI for Africa, right? Again, same discussion. GPUs, power hungry. We need to have these data centers here. We need to address data residency. That the data is actually going to sit on African soil. We're going to own product. We're going to own the platforms. And I feel this conversation, I mean, when you start with South Africa, expect it to be in East Africa. Expect an instance. In West Africa as well, right? So it's an interesting area to be in, but I think also it's an opportunity for us also to own our own, models that we can actually even now start using AI for Africa by Africa.
Great sovereignty. Let's get into the call segment. All right, you know what time it is. It's time for the Just Money hotline. You call, we listen, and together we unpack your real life questions: business, money, career, or culture. Let's see who's on the line. Unfortunately, the person meant to call in is on the road, but they were kind enough to send in their question. It's pretty good. Augustine asks and says, I am the co-founder of Cityfied Farms. We use AI to optimize water and nutrient use in our hydroponic farms. My question is, can we use our predictive data like yield forecasts and crop health analytics to secure more favorable terms with lenders or partners in Kenya?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Yes.
Long answer, the lenders have to understand your ecosystem. I think lenders in Kenya have been basing on your bank statements, your M-Pesa statements, and they have a scoring model for that. So now how do you show them that value, and how can they look at that and monetize and say, okay, yes, your hydroponics, which is brilliant, because then you can build vertically all the way up. You're able to actually, it's an amazing thing. that this guy is doing, Augustine, I feel like, oh my God, I hope he's doing passion fruits.
Why?
I once tried passion fruits on hydroponics. They were really sweet, but I couldn't keep up with the work that I felt it needed. But if he's doing
But the
passion,
fruits were sweet.
they were
You,
sweet.
that's your. It's
Yeah.
not that you even sold. The fruits
I
were
did.
so good through.
We ate everything.
Okay.
It was a failed. We ate. Tulikula stock. Tulikula stock. So can he show that value that while other farmers are probably losing 40% of their crops to pest and only making this much, I have a ready market to sell to. I have an oversubscription of demand, and I do not have the same challenges that they face for land, for pests, and I have a fully controlled environment, because even climate is not an issue for me, because I am in sort of like a greenhouse and it's just tower after tower after tower. And do you have a financial partner who's a lender who can look at that and actually value it? Because then that again speaks to the whole thing Tony was saying about the VCs. VCs will struggle to invest, and I had that challenge in 2021, 2022 when we were trying to raise. VCs will be like, why are you doing AI? Just do fintech. We have money for fintech. We'll give you money, you can go lend it out. Because they didn't see that value. But over time, 2024, 2025, 2023, VCs were like, okay, there's AI in Africa, let's look about investing in there. And they came up with their playbook and their how whether to invest, debt, credit, how to invest, and what do they get out of it. So lenders also need to take that same approach for Augustine's very brilliant hydroponic AI-driven farm that he should invite us all to. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to
No,
this
no.
question? I think it's
Perfect,
been
yeah.
answered pretty well. Augustine, I hope you're listening. Please grow passion fruits. Now Sikula stock. Parting shot. What's one thing you want people to take out from this conversation with AI? Give us some hope. Give us some belief. What do you want people to take out?
Because Africa is predominantly SME driven, and you are the subject matter expert of your SME. So that means incorporating AI isn't just a decision for like, do I need a tech team, all that. No. You're actually a subject matter expert. So find the right way to utilize it. So don't get a spoon to go dig, or it's too small, or don't get a whole earth mover to do now, like stir your tea or something. Find the right balance between all the capabilities of a model and what you need to do. And it's a technology that actually makes you, as long as it's your business, you're the subject matter expert. Previously, a firewall, cloud technology belonged with us in IT. AI belongs in the hands of the subject matter expert. So your knowledge on whatever field of expertise you have, just stitch AI next to it and just try and grow your business.
I love that. Michael, where can people reach you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Michael Michie. WhatsApp, Michie, it's not WhatsApp, sorry. It's the other one. Instagram.
Yeah.
Michie_Seth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Tony.
My parting shot towards first one, leverage. AI is here to help you. And it's really not man versus machine. It's really the partnership that you can actually have with it. It can help you augment whatever you're doing. So you kind of have to figure out which tool is going to work for you, right? And you have to experiment. The more you're out there, the chances of you getting the right one and knowing how to do it increase. And then secondly is growth mindset. No one is born knowing these things, right? Everyone is trying to learn AI. Everyone is actually building their skills and building their AI literacy levels higher. So you have to really be willing just to explore, experiment, ask experts, research. YouTube, amazing content. You'll find very much in terms of how you can specifically for your specific verticals in your business. If you're doing pharmaceutical, there are companies or there are people who figured it out. If you're doing beauty as a business, there are people who've actually figured out. So you just have to have that curiosity just to research. How you can reach me? LinkedIn, Tony Muiyuro. Instagram, Tony Mwangi. Happy to connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I loved this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking time to educate us today. Remember, if you like this, please, first thing you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can always watch more of such content. Leave me a comment. Tell me what it is that you learned, what it is that you appreciated, what it is that we could do better, and if there's any person you want to sit beside me in the next conversation and what topics we can cover. If you're using AI, let me know. Talk to me in the comments. Let me know what it is that you're using AI for. If you're making money through AI, let me know how it is that you're making money. I think that's about it. Remember, it's not just a regular podcast, it's just money.